The company that makes Snickers and M&Ms now controls 3,000 veterinary clinics across the globe, and they also make your dog food. In 2024, 2 United States senators launched a formal investigation into Mars Incorporated after discovering that this single corporation owns the clinics where your pet gets treated, the laboratories that run your pet's blood work, and roughly 50 of the pet food brands your veterinarian recommends you buy. We are going to expose how one family built a $29 billion empire by quietly buying up every link in the pet care chain. And we are going to show you exactly how to protect your wallet and your pet from a system that is designed to extract the maximum amount of money from you at the most vulnerable moment of your life. If you have taken your dog or cat to the veterinarian recently, you probably walked into a clinic with a friendly local name. Maybe it was called Countryside Animal Hospital or Lakewood Veterinary Care. You assumed the veterinarian who greeted you owned that practice and was making independent medical decisions about your pet. That is an illusion. The reality is that a massive wave of corporate acquisitions has swept through the veterinary industry over the last decade. Corporations and private equity firms have poured more than $51 billion into buying up independent veterinary clinics since 2017 alone. A decade ago, fewer than 10% of veterinary practices were corporate-owned. Today, corporations control roughly 25 to 30% of all general practices and a staggering 75% of all specialty and emergency hospitals. And sitting at the very top of this pyramid is Mars Incorporated, the secretive family-owned candy empire headquartered in McLean, Virginia, just down the road from the Central Intelligence Agency. In fact, there is a running joke in that town that the most secretive organization is not the spy agency, it is the candy company. But Mars is no longer primarily a candy company. Nearly 60% of its $55 billion in annual revenue now comes from pet care. And the way they built that empire should concern every single pet owner in America. The Mars family is the second wealthiest family in the United States, with an estimated fortune of $120 billion. They are more private than any billionaire family you have ever heard of. Their headquarters in McLean has no corporate logo on the building, no tours, no press conferences. They built that fortune on chocolate bars, but they spent the last 3 decades using those profits to quietly assemble the largest veterinary operation on Earth. It started in 1994 when Mars partnered with PetSmart to place Banfield pet hospital clinics inside their retail stores. It seemed harmless at the time, a convenient place to get your puppy vaccinated while you were already shopping for dog food. Over the next 13 years, Mars expanded that partnership until, by 2007, they owned Banfield outright. That single move gave them control of more than 1,000 veterinary clinics operating inside PetSmart locations across the country. Most pet owners had no idea the candy company now employed their veterinarian. Then came the blockbuster deal that changed the entire industry. In 2017, Mars paid $9.1 billion to acquire VCA Animal Hospitals, a publicly traded company that operated roughly 1,000 community veterinary hospitals. But VCA came with something even more valuable than the clinics themselves. It came with Antech Diagnostics, the largest veterinary laboratory network in the nation. Antech processes blood work for more than half of America's animal hospitals. So now Mars did not just own the clinics where your pet gets examined. They own the laboratories that analyze your pet's blood. The Federal Trade Commission reviewed this $9 billion deal and decided the only remedy needed was to force Mars to sell off 12 clinics in 10 markets. 12 clinics out of nearly 2,000. Independent veterinarians called that remedy not even a drop in the bucket. But Mars was not finished. They bought BluePearl, a network of specialty and emergency animal hospitals. They bought Anacura in Europe and the Linnaeus Group in the United Kingdom. And in 2023, they acquired Heska, a diagnostics company, for $1.3 billion. Today, Mars operates roughly 3,000 veterinary clinics worldwide and employs more than 12,000 veterinarians who see approximately 35 million pet visits every single year. And that is only half the story. Because here is the part that should make every pet owner sit up straight. Mars does not just own the clinics and the laboratories. They also own approximately 50 pet food brands, including Pedigree, Royal Canin, IAMS, Nutro, Greenies, Orijen, and Acana, spanning every price point from budget kibble to ultra premium. So think about what this means when you walk through that clinic door. You take your sick dog to a Mars-owned veterinary clinic. The Mars-employed veterinarian examines your dog and orders blood work. That blood work gets sent to a Mars-owned laboratory. The results come back, and the veterinarian recommends your dog be put on a special diet. The diet they recommend is Royal Canin veterinary diet, which is manufactured by Mars. Mars profits from the consultation. Mars profits from the lab work, and Mars profits from the food sale. In November 2024, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Richard Blumenthal sent a formal letter directly to the chief executive of Mars asking whether the company instructs, incentivizes, or otherwise encourages its veterinary clinics to recommend Mars-owned pet food brands. Mars has not provided a public response. But the evidence of pressure goes deeper. When Bloomberg investigated VCA before the Mars acquisition, they found that VCA sent veterinarians records of products sold along with suggested monthly sales targets. Banfield uses proprietary software called Petware that guides veterinarians through required diagnostic checklists. According to that reporting, a simple flea allergy workup could generate a $900 estimate under that system. And Royal Canin's influence reaches all the way into veterinary schools, where the company funds nutrition programs, sponsors conferences, and creates brand ambassadors among students before they even graduate. One Cornell-educated veterinarian admitted that their loyalty and medical recommendations had been bought over 4 years of veterinary college. But it gets even stranger than that. You have probably seen bags of pet food at your veterinarian's office labeled prescription diet. You might assume those products contain some kind of medication or controlled ingredient that requires a doctor's authorization. That assumption is completely wrong. Prescription pet food is not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. It is not approved as a drug. It does not require a prescription. The term prescription diet is simply a registered trademark owned by Hill's Pet Nutrition, a subsidiary of Colgate-Palmolive. These products contain no drugs, no controlled substances, and no ingredients that are unavailable in regular pet food. A typical prescription kidney diet lists brewer's rice, corn gluten meal, pork fat, and egg product as its first ingredients. Actual meat does not appear until the 8th position on the label. An independent laboratory analysis of 125 prescription diets found they performed no better than their off-the-shelf counterparts, and 40% of the samples contained pesticides. Yet an 18.7-pound bag of this so-called prescription kidney food sells for roughly $104. A comparable bag of regular food from the same brand costs $46. By restricting these products to veterinary-only sales channels, the manufacturers eliminate price competition entirely. Multiple class action lawsuits allege this amounts to antitrust price fixing. The 7th Circuit Court of Appeals revived one of these cases in 2023, and here is the detail that should alarm you the most. The Food and Drug Administration's own former director of the Center for Veterinary Medicine once stated that because prescription pet food is marketed to treat disease, it should legally be considered a drug. The FDA subsequently removed that statement from its website. Now Mars is the giant, but they are not the only predator circling. Private equity has flooded into the veterinary industry at a breathtaking pace. A German conglomerate called JAB Holdings spent approximately $5 billion acquiring National Veterinary Associates in 2019, then added 2 more specialty chains for a combined $2.75 billion. Together, JAB controls roughly 1,400 general practice locations and 145 specialty hospitals. Behind them, half a dozen other private equity-backed consolidators each control hundreds of clinics. The strategy is identical in every case. Buy a platform company. Acquire hundreds of independent practices at prices below the Federal Trade Commission reporting threshold so no regulator ever reviews the deal. Centralize operations, raise prices, then sell the whole package at a higher multiple within 3 to 7 years. But what makes consumers truly powerless is this. Only 15% of corporate-owned veterinary clinic websites disclose their corporate ownership. That means the overwhelming majority of pet owners have absolutely no idea that their trusted family veterinarian sold the practice to a corporation years ago. But there is one finding from this investigation that is more alarming than anything else. JAB Holdings does not just own the second largest veterinary clinic network, They simultaneously own a sprawling pet insurance empire through their subsidiary Independence Pet Holdings. That company operates more than 20 pet insurance brands across 10 countries, insuring over 5 million animals and generating more than $3 billion annually. The same corporation profits when your veterinary bill goes up, and then profits again when you buy insurance to protect yourself against those higher bills. The financial consequences for ordinary pet owners are devastating. Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows that veterinary costs have risen approximately 60% over the past decade, roughly double the rate of general inflation. A routine dental cleaning for your dog now costs anywhere from $300 to $1,500. Emergency visits average $800 to $1,500. Average annual veterinary spending has reached $912 per dog and $653 per cat. A peer-reviewed study published in 2025 found that corporate chain clinics charge higher prices than independent clinics and increase those prices faster. Prices visibly jumped when a small chain was acquired by a large corporate owner during the study period. The American Economic Liberties Project documented cases where routine services experienced up to 100% price increases after a corporate acquisition. One investigation found that a rabies shot at a New York City clinic went from $27 in 2018 to $50 in 2024 after a private equity firm acquired the practice. A simple urinalysis at the same clinic jumped from $42 to $86. Experts warn that 35% of pet owners may not have affordable access to veterinary care within the next few years, effectively making pet ownership a privilege of the upper middle class. And the human toll on the veterinarians themselves is equally devastating. 50% now report moderate to high burnout. Female veterinarians are 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide than the general population. Male veterinarians face more than double the risk. Corporate clinics track monthly performance metrics and color code practices green for the top 25% and red for the bottom 25%. A survey in the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association found that 55% of associate veterinarians preferred working in independent practice, while only 12% preferred corporate settings. As one 22-year veteran explained, after leaving the field, where there was once a sense of family and community, there are now production goals and meetings about profit margins. Regulators are starting to notice. The United Kingdom's Competition and Markets Authority launched a formal investigation in 2024 and received 56,000 public responses from outraged pet owners. In the United States, Senators Warren and Blumenthal have demanded that Mars disclose its pricing practices and pet food sales data. 18 states technically prohibit non-veterinarians from owning clinics, but corporations have circumvented those laws for decades using management company workarounds. So the burden falls on you. Ask your veterinarian whether their clinic is independently owned. If they recommend a prescription diet, ask whether a comparable regular food exists at a lower price. Request written prescriptions so you can compare prices at online pharmacies. The Mars family collected $1.5 billion in dividends in 2024 alone, while their veterinary workers reported feelings of disposability. The same company that sells your dog's kibble employs the veterinarian who tells you the dog needs a special diet that contains no drugs, requires no prescription, and costs twice as much as regular food. Check who owns your clinic. Read the ingredients on the bag. And never assume that the name on the building means the same person is making the decisions inside. If you found this eye-opening, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next investigation.